Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Call the buzzer. Call.
Take him back! Take him out!
You die in prison as well.
First up, we're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where 20-year-old Anthony Lujan is about to learn his punishment after pleading guilty to 4 felonies. A year and a half earlier, Lujan fled a traffic stop and was accused of nearly running over a police officer right before this happened. Crashing the white truck seen here, body cam footage captured Lujan fleeing on foot as an Albuquerque police officer chased him down. With nowhere to run, he ducked into a crowded restaurant.
PD, inside Cracker Barrel, PD. Inside Cracker Barrel.
Officers stormed the restaurant's gift shop and found Lujan hiding on the floor.
Do not move. Do not move. Do not put your hand on your back.
Lujan was arrested and charged with aggravated fleeing a law enforcement officer. While in custody, he was hit with more charges, including shooting at a motor vehicle during a road rage incident, aggravated burglary, and child abuse against his girlfriend's 2-year-old son. Now, sentencing, the boy's mother begs the judge to not let him off easily.
Don't let another child get hurt. Don't let another father suffer my suffering. And please don't give him any satisfaction in any man's freedom at this point.
When given a chance to speak, Lujan tells the judge that he's learned his lesson.
There is a way more life and violence to come to death. I work hard to change this way while I make death.
The minimum sentence is 2 years, but Judge Jacqueline Flores decides the maximum is more appropriate and hands down a 12-year sentence. While being escorted out, Lujan stares down his ex-girlfriend who spoke out against him and utters a threat before he's dragged out of the courtroom. Anthony Lujan is currently serving. Next, we go to bond court in Miami-Dade County. Judge Mindy Glazer presiding.
Morning, sir. What is your name?
The man unwilling to respond is 30-year-old Jonathan Alonso. Just a few days earlier, Alonso was living at this South Beach condo with his 61-year-old partner, Louis Piper. Piper had gone to court in the past claiming to be a victim of domestic violence, and when Piper didn't show up to work, police were sent to investigate.
This guy, he hasn't showed up to work, and they worry about it. But you saw him, that he was okay. Oh.
Alonso allegedly stabbed Piper to death. And afterward, he stayed in the apartment while the body decomposed. A few days later, he was captured on security cameras, casually taking the couple's dog, Olivia, out for a walk. 2 days later, police arrested him at a local park. But Alonso didn't go quietly. Here, he spits at officers, then apply a mask over his head. Inside the station, Alonso's cuffed and his violent behavior continues.
Get out! Get out! Stop being a cage, you! You're ugly, you're disgusting.
Alonso becomes enraged and rips video equipment off the wall.
That doesn't crazy.
When he finally appears at his bond hearing, he seems much more subdued.
Good morning, sir. What is your name?
Is that correct?
So, Mr. Alonso, good morning. You were arrested for criminal mischief and first-degree murder.
Make whatever decisions you need to work out between your own selves. You work it out between your own selves. I'm selfless, and I am God's will. And that's all I follow, all I ever had. So you work it out between your own self. Because you're the ones being watched.
Only after Alonso's mic is muted does the hearing continue. He's denied bail and ultimately pleads guilty to second-degree murder. Alonso's sentenced to 20 years and 6 months in a state prison. He's not scheduled for release until the year 2036. Next, we're in Chelsea, Massachusetts for an arraignment hearing. The defendant in the holding cell is 46-year-old Peter DeConnick. He's been charged with first-degree murder for allegedly stabbing his friend Ronald Russo to death. Investigators say the friend had a knife fight. Police found Russo on the floor clutching a knife. A bloodied DeConnick was arrested at a nearby train station. Now at the podium, the prosecutor shares a grisly detail about the murder.
Further investigation, the autopsy report revealed that Mr. Russo did suffer 69 knife wounds to his body.
The mention of the number of stab wounds appears to enrage the victim's brother, who charges toward the defendant.
Did suffer 69 knife wounds to his body.
It takes 1, 2, 3, 4 deputies to remove Thomas Russo from the courtroom. Russo's arrested following the outburst and is charged with disturbing the courtroom and resisting arrest. He's later released on a personal reconnaissance bond after telling the judge that he needed to make funeral arrangements for his slain brother. As for the defendant, Peter DeConnick, he's later found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
You can't dictate love. Love is earned. But that is precisely what respondent was doing. Ordering those kids to love.
Next, we're in Oakland County, Michigan, for a judicial disciplinary hearing. Judge Lisa Gorsuch is under fire for her handling of a contentious divorce case involving 3 children, aged 9, 10, and 13, who refused to engage with their father during his scheduled parenting time, despite the judge's direct orders.
I ordered you to have a healthy relationship with your father. Your dad is a good man who loves you.
When the children refuse to listen, the judge hangs the possibility of time at Children's Village, a juvenile detention center, over their heads.
You want to have your birthdays in Children's Village? You like going to the bathroom in front of people? Is your bed soft and comfortable at home?
But when the scare tactic doesn't work, the judge takes it a step further and singles out the 2 oldest children for being brainwashed by mom, for not having a relationship with their father.
It's ridiculous. I have to say, I've never seen anything like this. One day you can watch this video and realize that you too have been brainwashed. Your dad is a good man who loves you. You have been brainwashed. You need to do a research program on Charlie Manson and the cult that he has.
Despite the judge
I apologize to whatever I did to you, but I do not apologize for not talking to Gus. I have a reason for that, and it's because he's bad man.
But the violent claim is unsubstantiated, and Judge Gorsuch has had enough.
Alright, well, court finds you in direct contempt. You are a defiant, contemptuous young man. So I ordered you to talk to your father. You chose not to talk to your father. You defied a direct court order. This is not normal behavior, and the court finds both of you in direct contempt.
Turns out the judge was not bluffing about sending the children to juvenile detention.
You both are going to live in Children's Village. Your mother is not allowed to visit. No one on your mom's side is allowed to visit. When you are ready to have lunch with your dad, to have dinner with your dad, to be normal human beings, otherwise you are living in Children's Village till you graduate from high school. That's the order of the court.
The 3 siblings spent a total of 17 days in juvenile detention, but after the controversial ruling captures media attention, the judge reversed her decision and had the children placed in a local summer camp, where both parents could visit them.
The examiner will call to the stand Judge Gorsuch.
While some fathers' rights groups championed Gorsuch, the Judicial Tenure Commission felt differently. They issued a 2-count ethics complaint against Gorsuch for failing to act in a patient, dignified, and courteous manner. But even back at the disciplinary hearing, when she's called to testify, Judge Gorsuch stands by her actions.
I never for 1 minute thought that any person faced with door number 1, parenting time, and door number 2, Children's Village, that had been explained to them over and over again that this could happen, would pick door number 2.
But the examiner is appalled by her behavior.
From the bench, the judge, with all the power behind her, raises her voice, is sarcastic, is demeaning, laughs at them, tells them they will be in jail. How is that not trying to terrorize a 9, a 10, and a 13-year-old?
Ultimately, the commission would find Gorsuch acted inappropriately and call for a public censure and a suspension.
Okay, our next case will be In re Elisa Gorsuch versus Judicial Tenure Commission.
The judge appeals the case and it goes to the Michigan Supreme Court. The court determined that the public rebuke was enough and overruled the suspension. As for the couple, more than 8 years after it began, the litigation and custody battle raged on, unresolved. We head now to a sentencing hearing in Ocala, Florida. A jury has found Keela Richardson guilty of killing Courtney London during a robbery home invasion 2 years earlier. As an added precaution today, extra officers are on hand for the sentencing.
Any legal reason we shouldn't proceed with sentencing today?
As the men want to learn their fate,
I've indicated that I would like to do is to have the gentleman. Hang on, Mr. Davis.
Suddenly, fists are flying. It appears a court officer attempts to handcuff Travis Davis, but Davis refuses to cooperate. Another court officer quickly jumps in to assist.
Hang on, Mr. Davis.
Meanwhile, a third court officer attempts to handcuff Grimmage, but that doesn't go any better, and total chaos ensues. Richardson's already been cuffed and is ushered away from the melee. Davis's lawyer, Daniel Hernandez, isn't so lucky. With the situation seemingly out of control, another court officer steps in with a taser. Reportedly, all 3 men were tased, including Brandon Banks, who doesn't appear to join the free-for-all. One of the court officers appears to instruct everyone to clear the courtroom. After the court officers regain control, Davis and Grimmage share some sentimental parting words. All 4 defendants were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. Next, we go to Miami-Dade County for the sentencing of Marilyn Aguilera. A year earlier, Aguilera drunkenly drove into a Little League field, hitting 3 people, including high school principal Javier Perez, who was there coaching his son. Perez was trapped under the vehicle and later spent a month in a medically induced coma. He survived the accident, but had both of his legs amputated. When Aguilera was given a sobriety test, her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. Aguilera has been charged with driving under the influence in a crash that caused serious injury. If convicted, she faces Aguilera accepts a plea deal, agreeing to 4 years in prison plus probation. But things get off to a rocky start when Aguilera shows up hours late for her court appearance. With the victim, Javier Perez, watching from the gallery, it only gets worse for Aguilera as she appears disoriented and has difficulty answering questions.
No, I'm not taking a plea on this case. I'm sorry.
My name is not Linda, and do not address me.
Miss Ward, no.
Despite her protests, Aguilera's plea deal is taken off the table. She's released on $15,000 bond. A few months later, Aguilera's back in court with a new plea deal. 7 years in prison with no probation.
She is ready now to accept the 7 years in state prison with straight time with no conditions afterwards.
But right before accepting, we're back in Miami-Dade County for the sentencing of Marilyn Aguilera. After a judge revoked a previous plea deal due to Aguilera's behavior in court, she's offered another tougher deal. But right before accepting, Aguilera runs into another problem.
She tested positive for THC. I'm going to revoke the bond in this case. It's a violation of the conditions of your release.
With marijuana in her system, Aguilera's plea deal is revoked again, and she must now go to jail. But Aguilera's story doesn't end there. A month later, the prosecutor offers her a third deal, 5 years in prison and 3 years probation, which she wisely accepts. Perez did not attend the hearing, but his wife provided a written statement to the court, reiterating the devastating effects Aguilera's actions had on her family.
A lifetime of living without his legs. She will never know how it feels to wake up and be told your legs were amputated. Every single day has been a struggle. He experiences pain daily. She will never know what it feels like to be in the hospital fighting for her life. Any sentence Ms. Aguilera receives is far less than the sentence she imposed upon my husband and our family.
Aguilera is set for release in early 2022. As for Javier Perez, he's still recovering from his injuries. Javier Perez, thank you so much for joining us. That was very tough to watch. Can you take us back to the incident and tell us what you remember about it?
My son was playing in a Little League championship game that evening, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my left eye, I see a car just coming right at us. As I turned around, one of the moms was sitting right behind me. I picked her up and threw her to the side. I spent 5 months in the hospital, 2.5 months at the main hospital where all my surgeries, all 22 of them were performed. And then I spent 2.5 months at a hospital just doing basically physical therapy.
Talk to me a bit about your recovery.
The day I got to the hospital, they gave me a 0% chance of survival. I was in an induced coma for 2 months. When I woke up, I started complaining because I had a lot of pain in my legs. My wife then realized that I was not aware that both my legs had been amputated. So then it was her job to explain to me why they were amputated, obviously to save my life. And then the process started of basically just taking all that in and trying to accept what life had thrown my way and how I was going to be able to overcome that. Today, I'm walking. I don't use a cane anymore. I have a wheelchair in my car, but I can tell you I haven't used it in 3 months. And realistically, I only see things getting better.
Javier Perez, you really are an inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's all for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.